welcome to Joe Goes Everywhere, a big blend radio, food, wine, and travel podcast featuring award-winning photographer and travel writer Joe Clark. Let's find out where she's taking us today. Welcome, everyone. It is Joe's next podcast. Well, actually, it's the first podcast of 2025 with Joe Clark here. And Joe goes everywhere, and she really had a good time in Sonoma County. So in the episode notes, you're going to see links to some of her other articles about Sonoma County in California. But today she's going to give us a taste of Santa Rosa. And apparently she had more wine. Go figure, because she does have glass and likes to travel. So how are you doing, Joe? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to all our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. A new year means more travel, and Sonoma County is just beautiful every part of the year, as far as I'm concerned. But Santa Rosa is one of my favorite places in the world, and you got to do things I didn't get to do, and I haven't really done as much over the last few years there. So you had
Well,
some
you'll have to
jolly
go
good
back.
times.
You need a redo.
I need a refill. Is that what
Yeah. No,
a
I said
redo
you
or
need
a
a
refill?
redo. You may need
I
a
need a
refill
refill.
too. That's
Yeah.
why I'm going back. There were just too many wineries, too little time.
Mm. And
I
then there
missed
was
too much.
There's Peanuts and the gang from Charles Schultz there too.
From the minute you land, you fly in. If you're going to Santa Rosa, I know people fly into bigger airports, but we didn't. We flew right into Santa Rosa, into the Charles M. Schultz Airport, and the walls are covered in Snoopy. There's statues of Snoopy that you can hug on, and you'll end up missing your Uber because you're too busy roaming around the airport looking at all the artwork and the inlaid tiles of Snoopy. Uh, like the cartoon clips that they'll have, it'll be a cartoon that was actually in the paper, some that you may even remember, but they have them on the walls, they have them in the floor, uh, and the statues are just darling, especially
Oh
the
man.
Red Baron,
Mm.
which is appropriate. I mean, Snoopy flew, he was a pilot, so of course he's in the airport with his red scarf.
I did find out the Red Baron isn't as nice as we all thought he was. I don't
Well,
know.
no, that's why Snoopy was trying to shoot him down.
Go Snoop. You know, there it is.
He
There it
was
is.
on
So,
our side.
and he was in wine country,
He was.
So, but this is the food. So that's what's really cool about this is to revisit all these areas that you went to, these wineries. And so it seems like the culinary scene met up with the winery scene. And so it's like the perfect pairing with from what
Yeah,
I read.
yeah, it
Uh-huh.
definitely is. Uh they had so many good restaurants. We had so much good food. And when I started really looking at where we ate, and in Santa Rosa, the two favorite places that we ate were both owned by the same restaurant group and had the same executive chef
Mm,
overseeing everything. And that man knows what he's doing, I have to say.
mm.
Everything was delicious. Um,
There's a lot farm to table out there too.
It is. It is.
Mm.
It seemed like some of the restaurants owned farmland, and so they had their own produce, not just buying from farmers, but
Oh
raising their
wow.
own, and that was pretty neat.
Mm.
That always makes it taste better to me because
Yeah, they're
you know
really
what they're
hands
growing.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
It made me
the
think of the some of the places that we ate in the Finger Lakes were that way. They had farms and raised
mhm.
their own vegetables and their herbs and things like that that they used in the restaurant. So it was pretty neat.
So in Santa Rosa area, what I remember having really good cabs, cabernets, and then also that their white wines were pretty good too, out of that region.
Yeah.
And the Russian River. Listen, the Russian River Valley,
Wow.
number one. You just want to.
Oh yeah.
I need to go explore. I need to go back. But yeah, I mean,
Right.
I remember both the red and the whites were just amazing.
Yep. Yep. The reds and whites were all good. There we visited one place that made distilled vodka out of white wine, white grapes that they grew. So it's not just wines, but
Mm.
it's mostly wine. That's because that's what I liked. There were plenty of breweries and distilleries around, but that wasn't my
Mm.
focus. I like going to them, but if there's wineries left to visit, I'm going there first.
Yeah. So let's talk. You went to Ledson Winery and Vineyards, and so this is kind of like a family. Like it's in the
Yeah,
family. It's in their blood.
it's it definitely is. This is one of the older families. I think it was his grandfather,
Mm.
maybe great grandfather, started out and was growing grapes and making wine. And Steve, his father, I think his father's name is Noble, which is kind of neat because the Noble grape is the state grape of
Oh, yeah.
Virginia. So it's kind of a grapey name, a grape name.
That's
Uh,
good.
but
She's on
Steve
a roll today, everybody.
must be the wine. it's
Yeah.
that it's that Sonoma wine. But yeah, Steve, it was in his blood. His family grew grapes back in the 1860s. They
Mhm.
bottled Zinfandel and Alicante wines in Sonoma County. And so I
Mm.
think probably his father kind of leaned toward you need another avenue. It's like the professional ball players. That's all they know how to do. And people try to say, you need a backup plan. You need a degree
Mhm.
in math so you can teach math later, but you need a backup plan. So his father pushed him. The backup plan was construction. And he was a noted contractor in the area. And when you go to Ledson's, there's this gorgeous gray castle, grayish red.
Mm.
It kind of blends in with the Sonoma hillside behind, and that was intentional. He wanted it to look like it belonged and that it was made from those same hills.
Yeah.
Um, but he designed, I don't know if he had a degree in architecture, but he was certainly a designer. And he designed this place. And
Wow.
it was, he and a partner were started out originally designing this place in the midst of all these vineyards. And I think it was more of a spec home initially. And they were going to build this house and sell it.
Mm.
And while he was building, he told the story that while he was building the house, and he would take his lunch and eat in the truck, and he'd bring a bottle or two of wine for the workers. They had wine with lunch, my kind of job. Uh,
Yeah. I'm with you.
but he said people kept driving up the driveway and saying, "Is this a winery? Are you building a winery?" And he said, sounded like a good idea to him. So instead of a house, he decided it should be a winery. And he started bringing cases of Merlot with him and selling his Merlot out of his pickup on his lunch break to these people that drove up the driveway and said, "Is this a winery?"
It's like, sure, here, have some.
Sure, it is. Yes. Would you like to buy some Merlot? But the
Good.
going through that house, it's just a magnificent, it really is. When I say castle, I'm not saying that lightly. It doesn't just look in the shape of a castle with a couple of
Hmm.
turrets. When you go through this place, it has these magnificent carved, curved
Mm.
stairways. Every room has a different mantle and fireplace. Every room that has bars for tastings, and they have a lot of them. It's not like you're in some big, huge room that you can't hear your wine
Hmm.
taster talking. It's like being in somebody's large living room, and down the hall in the den is somebody else's tasting. So you have a much more intimate experience at Ledson. And the guy that we had doing our wine tasting was telling us about building the
Hmm.
structure, and that there were 25 miles of crown molding around the ceilings in all the
Wow.
rooms. It totaled 25 miles.
That's
And
insane.
yeah, and I love architecture. I love
Hmm.
the old buildings. I'm always
Hmm.
drawn to that. I love wood and the inlaid wood. I have a beautiful inlaid wood table that was the first thing my mother bought after she got married. And this house has inlaid flooring, the inlay around the edges of each room. There's more than 10 miles of that. So
Wow.
it's not only beautiful structurally, it's intricate and interesting. And they know the history. The ones doing the tastings
Mm-hmm.
have all been trained by Steve Ledson, so they know the history not only of the wines but of the structure. And um, they have
Oh.
beautiful grounds. They have places to have picnics, and in case you come empty handed, they have a little marketplace on the end of the house, and you can grab your picnic supplies, bread, cheese,
Oh,
meats, and
that's
your
my thing
favorite
right there.
bottle of wine. Yeah, it's the perfect place. You show up and stay all day because you
Oh,
don't need to leave.
relax.
Yeah, they've got
Yeah.
everything you need, and 70 different wines. You've got to find something you
Woo.
like.
Yeah. And one thing they do Malbecs. Ooh, and Petite
Uh,
Syrahs. Oh.
yes, yes, they
Mm.
do. Oh my goodness, that Malbec.
Mm. Oh, don't.
That
Are you
was
gonna
a
make me
that was a
jealous?
high end. I was thrilled to get to taste it.
You're gonna
Probably
make me
could never
jealous?
afford to buy it.
Oh. So these are award-winning wines as
Oh
well.
yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And they won an award while we were there in October. They had the Sonoma County Harvest Fair, which is wine and food,
Mm.
but it was, of course, mostly wine, in my opinion, because that's what I'm looking
Yeah,
for.
I
But
wonder what she was focused on.
I know, really. But they had foods to go with those
Hmm.
award-winning wines. So a lot of the local restaurants were represented at this Harvest Festival, and you could get a little small plate with a couple of bites of something and pair it with a
Mm.
wine, and then go somewhere else and try something new. And Ledson had one. That's how I even found out about
Hmm.
Ledson. They weren't on my radar, and I tasted their wine at the Harvest Fair and ended up heading that way. I fit them into my little list.
There you go. Huh. Nice
that,
though.
that's how you
That's
that's how you end up drinking all day long, because you
oh,
find you had a plan of 2 or 3 wineries in a day, and then you fit in 1 or 2 more.
but I love this because to me it just is like it just sounds like a day to just relax and enjoy the scenery because it's a beautiful area, but you
Oh,
also
it
went to
is.
Corsi Graves Estate Winery, and
Yeah.
that sounds like another place to just enjoy the views and the wine together. That's the
Well,
perfect pairing, you know?
it is. And they're close to each other. They're probably
Oh, good.
15 minutes apart. So from where we started that morning, we ended up going to Ladson at lunchtime. We went on to Corsi Graves and then went on to Santa Rosa, where we were staying and eating dinner that night. So it was a nice little detour, a
Detour.
nice little straight line. But Corsi Graves is 1,500 feet up above the Sonoma Valley. And when I was Googling wineries close to Ledson and close to Santa Rosa,
Hmm.
this one popped up. And all I had to see in the description was Monet style gardens. Gaze at those as you are drinking. And I went, yes,
Okay.
please. Okay, you
Yeah.
sold me. And it's true. They have this beautiful little pond with the arched
Oh.
bridge over it. There's a little boat floating out in the middle of it. And there's these wildflowers, and I'm sure not all native, but some cultivated flowers
Hmm.
around it. I got to go in the earlier spring and summer so that everything is in bloom. It was pretty in October, but man, I can imagine that place in.
Starting mid-March, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then you need to go
we
back to
we need
Point
to
Reyes
make that
National
plan.
Seashore. Yeah, you need to go back to Point Reyes then because that's when all
Oh
the
yeah.
iris starts. They have wild iris blooming out there at that time. That's when we were there,
Oh wow,
mid-March.
that would be
So,
gorgeous.
and then the wildflowers, the poppies, California poppies come up and
Right?
okay, sorry,
And
but
I've
this is
never seen those.
beautiful.
These
What?
this was my first time really in California. I've been to
Oh, wow.
California last year during a cruise, and we
Yeah.
went to a few places, but it was like on the cruise ship we docked and we'd do a day thing and be back on the ship and move
Mhm.
on. Um, I've not had time in California other than that. So this 10 days was just marvelous in Sonoma County. I started out initially telling people, oh, I was going to Napa and Sonoma. Little did I know I would not set foot in Napa in all 10
No, but you
days.
went to Healdsburg, which I know we'll talk about on the show in the future.
Yes.
Sonoma County, it stretches out all over,
I was there
Uh,
10 days and this is all I saw. And I didn't see all of it.
well,
It's
I know because you haven't stopped
amazing.
talking about it.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, really, I know you've been on shows, other shows talking about it. It's like, y'all, you got to go have this wine. Apparently, well, we love it up there for the same reason. The scenery is gorgeous, the
It
nature.
is.
Um, I think there's a quality of life, and when places adopt a quality of life in that you're eating good food that is, respecting the farmers, and you're
Right.
in people that are just everything they're doing is about quality versus quantity.
Yep.
And I think that's what it is. So it's a healthy, happy, wine filled lifestyle
It
with
is.
distilleries
It
and
is.
breweries in between. And I do love the brew. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Joe, I think we need to go on a road trip there because, oh my gosh, there's some beautiful areas. You're so close to the
There
coast
are.
as well, like Bodega Bay. Did you go to Bodega Bay?
Nope.
Okay, well,
The only
okay.
place we got to was
Bolinas.
Point Reyes. We got
Well, that's cheese,
that
good
far
cheese.
west to the water, to the lighthouse, but none of the other places.
Oh,
We just didn't have the
wow.
time in 10
Well,
days.
we're going to go. So now, while you were there, at Corsi, you did get some Napa Valley Cabernet. Um, so you did taste this, and this is all kind of, you said, Bordeaux kind of Rhone style wines over at this
Yep.
winery,
They get
Corsi.
and they get their grapes. I guess maybe they have their own vineyard or maybe they buy from somebody in Napa
In
Valley
Napa.
to get that,
Hmm.
yeah, to get
A lot
that
of times,
cab.
everybody's kind of connected in these,
They are.
AVAs. They
We found,
they
yeah, we
all work
found that
together.
out.
Hmm.
Well, and it's what, 18, 19 AVAs in this county.
See, Joe needs to move there for a
uh
year. You
no,
know, she loves her
I'd
beach.
like a lengthy stay, a lengthy
Yeah,
visit. I
that's
definitely do
good.
not want to move.
Well,
Um,
tell me about this Bennett Mountain Estate Red Blend because it uses our favorite word, blend. Um, I love a good blend because you
I
never
do
know
too.
what you're going to get. You know?
And it's whatever was good, or I guess maybe in some cases whatever was left over that year,
Yeah.
that got blended. The Bennett Mountain Estate. Bennett Mountain is an area out there in Sonoma County, and it doesn't tell you what the reds are, so you really don't know what the blends are. But it
Mm,
had this wonderful mouth feel. You would just get a mouth of this wine and go, ah.
mama, yummy.
Yeah, it was very yummy, and we had a lovely little charcuterie tray on the table. So we had some cheese and some nuts and things to nibble between glasses of wine as we gazed at the Monet style setting. It
Sounds good to me.
was beautiful. It was a beautiful day, and they age in a cave back in the hillside. So we got to go in there and wander through and see some of the beautiful old vessels. Well, I say old, they may be brand new, but they may still make them. But the clay vessels that are shaped like great big
Hmm.
urns, they are aging wines in those in this cave. Uh,
Ooh,
yeah, and
I
I've got
want to. I want to go play in the caves. I mean,
yeah, we went in
mm,
caves, I think in three different places. So it's I can't say it's unique because there's more than one, but it's pretty unusual. And, I'd never been in a cave where you aged wine anywhere on the East Coast, we'll put it that way, or
mm.
Texas, or the places that I've been. So it was
In
pretty neat.
California, they tend to have caves.
Yeah.
And it's naturally cool. We've been in actually. Now that I think of it, I've been in a lot of caves, and in New Mexico, I've been in a New Mexico cave. Well, they
Neat.
built the cave. It was a little different,
Well,
but I've been
yeah.
in caves in Central California. I've been in caves and so San Benito County, Hollister area, the cave outside Pinnacles National Park. See, my wines go with parks. There's a cave in Tuolumne County, um, and it's Ironstone Vineyards, I believe, off the top of my head. And
I love
they
that.
have a
But
cave,
where are
and
they? They're New Mexico.
Outside Yosemite National
Ah,
Park. They
okay.
have an amphitheater, and a lot of famous musicians perform there. And they have this giant nugget of gold. I mean, a massive, because you're in gold country out
You
there.
couldn't chip any off?
No, it's all behind, glass and stuff, but there's a lot of good
It's Lisa
wineries up there
proofed.
too. Yeah, it was Lisa proofed, and but I took care of the wine. But yeah, there's a lot of caves now that I think, and Temecula, I think I've been in a cave. Yeah, I
Me,
didn't know I've been in so many caves and cave dwellings.
I've been in
That's
cave
all.
dwellings out in, yeah, in, I don't know,
Yeah,
Colorado and
yeah, yeah. This is
Arizona
cool.
area, the Indian cave dwellings. Um,
So I think this is cool. So caves are good, but
yeah.
I want to talk about fire trucks as lawn ornaments. Hook and Ladder
Everybody loves
Winery.
fire
Come on.
trucks. I mean, who doesn't love a fire truck? And I have had hook and ladder wines at tastings here in South Carolina.
Oh
And
wow.
so
Okay.
little did I know where they were coming from. And there I was,
Oh
Hook and
wow.
Ladder Winery. So they
Very
have,
cool.
you can't miss the turn. If you get to the right road, there's a big red fire truck out at the street.
Going
So you
hello.
can't miss the turn.
Hmm. Well, that's cool. So do they have like a connection with that, or was somebody in the
I,
firefighting industry?
yeah, I think so. I didn't get that story.
Okay.
I was more interested in the wine story, but they are
Mm,
definitely connected because inside they have the firefighters patches that they wear, identifying what fire station they're from. They have a collection of those all over the
mm.
walls, down the hall to the bathroom. Every inch of the walls covered in these. Um, so
So
that
these are three different experiences. And even though you're in this beautiful setting,
really
each
in
winery
one.
is
Mhm.
completely different. And then on top of it, their wines, you had like sparkling wine. So now three different wine tasting
Is yeah,
experiences too.
styles. Yep,
Hmm.
yep. The style of wine is different. They make at Hook and Ladder, they had a bright, sparkling brut. They had a rosé of Pinot Noir, and
Hmm.
I have not in the past been a big fan of rosés. I'm kind of coming around because I found out that there's sort of a difference in a um, the rosé, what grapes it's made from, makes me like it better or not.
Mm.
And since I love Pinot Noir, a rosé of Pinot Noir is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends. Yeah, because I think at one point we had to learn in this country what a rosé was, like is,
Well, we
versus
were making
that
something that was
wine
red and
Zinfandel.
pink, but it wasn't rosé.
It wasn't that white Zinfandel stuff that comes out of like a cardboard thing. Um, you know, so
Yep.
yeah, the patio pounder style wine, but the rosés, I mean, we've really elevated over the last 10 years with
We have.
rosés. You've been on the show with Peggy Fiandaca from LDV Winery.
Right.
She makes a rosé out of Grenache, and
Ooh, another
it's
grape I love.
oh my gosh, it gives you a little like wake up call, but then it's like cool and refreshing, and it's not over. It doesn't overtake the food. It like will go with anything you want it to go with. And we did it with a pink pineapple upside down cake that we made,
That
and it was
sounds
a
neat.
fresh cake, the fresh pineapple, not the canned, um,
Yum.
which is a big deal because there's very few recipes. And this pairing, I just yeah, hmm it was a good Thanksgiving, is what I'm saying.
It
So
sounds like it.
it was
I'm
good.
sorry I missed that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I was like, leave my wine, leave my cake alone. Everybody was fighting over it all. You're supposed to get along. No, we all got along, but yeah, so that's really cool. So they had Chardonnays at Hook and Ladder too, Merlots. Looking,
Did.
you're saying a juicy Pinot Noir.
Yeah, yeah. Just
Mm,
again, you get that in your mouth and smile. It's, almost dribble because you're trying to drink and
yeah.
smile. But it
Well,
was just luscious. And we went out into the work area. We got to see down into the vats while
ooh,
that was being working. Um, and they had the old vines in, which was
ooh.
amazing.
I am a big fan of that. They do good
Uh,
zins out that way. They really do.
yeah. And when you
Yeah,
talk about old vines in, and it's the vines are 100 years old or
and
over a
gnarly.
hundred, and they're still producing these beautiful grapes, and beautiful
Mm.
grapes just make beautiful wine.
That's where the term gnarly dude came from. I'm
Yeah,
kidding. I have no idea. I'm just saying, but it is. Well, when
but
you
they
went,
are gnarly.
they are gnarly. They're cool. You went to Russian River Vineyards, and I've had a lot of their wine, and their wine is
Yeah, too.
freaking fantastic.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
It's delicious.
The drive
The,
there is gorgeous.
it is. You go zipping down the road and going around curves and up and down little hills, and you're
Redwood trees, and
humming. You can't find yourself humming "Take Me Home, Country Road."
it is beautiful out there. I'm getting all these memories back in my head of driving all around there, listening to perfect music and those trees, and just, I don't know, it's like a relaxed vibe, you know?
Yeah, and the wineries are so close together. I mean, you only need one tank of gas the whole week.
That's good.
It's
That's
like,
good.
it's only a quarter of a mile between wineries.
Well, so when you were there, so this is like kind of a partnership, right? So what they do over there, they're also working out in the Sonoma Coast, in the coastal area.
Well, no, that's the
Mhm.
the winemaker at Russian River is Geo. And Geo, when he was learning to be a winemaker, was being mentored and learning from a man named Anthony Austin. And
Mm,
Anthony Austin was a native of Sonoma County and second or third generation, I think. And at he did his education at UC Davis um, for winemaking and started working with the
mm,
Firestone Vineyard. Then he opened his own cellar, Austin Cellars, and then he later consulted with and helped build Sonoma Coast Vineyards.
mm.
So you've got
That's
him
how it works.
and Geo working together, and
Mm.
he still works with Geo. They still produce some specialty wines each year, but he does help out at Russian River, and that was Geo's mentor. And they
Okay.
have a beautiful house where you could stay. Probably
Ooh,
holds two, four. I'd say it would hold six, maybe eight people. So they do have a house on the property that you can rent and stay in. A lot of the vineyards had places, but they were for their wine club members only.
okay.
So if you were a wine club member, you could book time.
Yeah.
I bet they're
Mm.
booked 2 years in advance.
I bet. I
All the
bet.
places were lovely, and
Mm.
that's
So,
what I love in North Carolina. The places I've been up in the Yadkin Valley, they
mhm,
have cabins, old log cabins, and old tobacco barns that have been converted where you can stay, and
that's
they're
cool.
they're more like a B&B or something.
Mm.
You can book time and stay and pay to stay there. So you don't have to be a wine club member, and you don't have to live
Mm.
close by. So,
Mm. I
but I
you just
I do
thinking of
love.
wineries.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
we stayed at a winery in well, one winery I know they turned their little innkeeper. Well, because laws changed over the years, and so it was only
True.
for wine club members, and sometimes it was included in the wine because they weren't allowed by permit to have
To
people stay
rent.
on the property. Yeah.
Ah,
So this was
yeah,
pre
there has to be a way
Airbnb.
around
So there's
things,
going to be these little laws in different places like that.
right?
One Airbnb we stayed in was in Palisades out in Colorado near Grand Junction.
Oh, neat.
Now, Grand Junction area, the wine out there is spectacular. They have a fruit and wine byway. And so the wineries, like, it's just like what you are experiencing in Sonoma County and Santa Rosa. Each winery is so unique. And what makes, and because of the coastal breezes and the hillsides and in Sonoma, you've got that happening. In Colorado, it's going along with the Colorado River. So it depends on where you are. So you're part of this plateau, this high desert plateau, and each winery was so completely different. And they had it was their house on the winery, but they made part of it an Airbnb, small. But you wake up in the morning, you see vineyards and an old barn and it, orchards, and you just sit outside and
Yep.
drink wine and play with their
And
dogs. And
rocking
yeah,
the rocking chair.
it was, yeah, it was
Yep.
really nice. And you can play cornhole, and I just wanted to say cornhole. So I said it, because that's an important thing.
And
But
are you
yeah,
good?
um, I got really into it when I really first tried to play cornhole. And I think I've only done it once, and that was in Michigan. And all of a sudden, there's this competitive thing that happens, and it didn't really, that thing happened, but it didn't mean that I could do it. Like, I sucked. I thought, and I just kept feeling like I'm going to be a ballerina with this bag of corn. No, I just wasn't that
No.
great. No, I wasn't that great whatsoever. But it was fun. It was fun. But yeah, I want to go back to Russian River Vineyards. So you had like a wonderful lunch pairing with your wine.
Yeah, we
There
did.
was sweet treats. No macarons
Lots
on
of the
this one,
the
but
winery. I'm sorry, what?
no macarons,
No, nobody out there gave me a macaron.
except for when you went with your wild, your wild sidecar
That's
ride.
right. I had fresh macarons when I went on my sidecar tour because a French chef was our tour guide.
Yeah. And he made you macarons, and he probably
He
heard your
did,
podcast and went, she's been
probably.
macaroning all over upstate New York. She needs to come
Said
macaron
yeah,
in
we got to do it for her
California.
too. Yeah,
Yeah. And I've got that
probably.
song. I got the Macarena song stuck in my head now.
Oh no,
I know. No,
get that
please.
back out, knock
Yeah,
it
let's
out.
go. We'll go back to country roads, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, the foods everywhere had food or charcuterie trays that you could buy. That almost every winery that I can remember being in had food of some sort. They did different events where they had food trucks that came in.
Oh, that's cool.
But Russian River had a big patio, and if you wanted to, you could eat inside, I think. But we were outside on the patio. It was beautiful weather the whole time we were there. Um, and they had these amazing uh, descriptions. When you read the descriptions, you were already drooling for the
Mm,
pesto caprese focaccia bread, and they had a
mm.
West County focaccia that had, I want to say, caramelized garlic and onions and maybe fig. That
Oh,
it was wonderful. And then we had what we had then along with those was the turkey sandwich with prosciutto and Swiss cheese and brie, and it was melted and toasted, and it was wonderful. And so we split.
why? This is,
I
this is,
know,
that's it. I have my water.
but we split the sandwich and split the two kinds of focaccia, so that we weren't completely stuffed. And then we couldn't pick a dessert because, two women can never decide on one dessert. But, if you split your sandwich, then you've got room for two halves of two desserts. You shouldn't have to pick one. And
No.
we didn't.
So chocolate torte.
Dark chocolate torte
Oh,
and creme brulee.
ooh.
Uh, yeah, I love them
Okay.
both.
Wow. Okay. So you're, this is dangerous
I
territory.
know, really.
This
Drool,
is, and
drool.
Let's talk about food. Since we're talking about food, you went to, they've got a lot of restaurants there.
They do.
Well, the whole county, you say in your article on the Food Wine Travel site, and everyone that's linked over in the episode notes again, you said it's over 500 restaurants in the county, which is,
Right.
and some Michelin stars, Zagat rated.
Mm-hmm. But
Let's
right
talk
there
about,
in Santa Rosa, you've got
mm,
54 to choose from. So you need a month or two just to cover Santa Rosa.
mhm.
Just
Sounds like it.
saying.
What Augie's is a French restaurant and
It's
also well
marvelous.
known, very popular.
Yes, and it just opened 23 or 24 because it was named the best new restaurant in Sonoma County in 2024.
Wow.
Um, but this group, it may be 7 restaurants in all. I
Oh,
would be
wow.
pulling my hair out. I
Yeah.
couldn't I couldn't order for and plan for one. I don't know how you manage
Well, what I
7.
think that shows they know what they know their industry.
They do, and they know food because they're all different. It's not like they're all steakhouses or all French restaurants. You've got this French restaurant, but then you've got Bird and the Bottle, which is
Of course, you want to go just for the name.
uh, yeah, I saw that name and I'm like, oh yeah, yeah. And then I looked up more information about that, and when I did, I discovered this drink called She's So Pretty.
And
I
so
have to
she
say it
went.
that way. It's not really spelled that way. It's, Shiso, but still, she's so pretty. That's what they were thinking when they picked that name. And it's vodka and spiced pears and drinking vinegar. Shiso is a drinking vinegar, which I didn't know till I went there. And lime.
I had no clue about that either.
I didn't either. Now I'm on a mission to find shiso drinking vinegar and find
I
out.
bet they use them in all these mocktails that are, popular.
Yeah, I bet they do too.
Hmm,
But they had
yeah.
that, and then they had
Now
barbecued octopus.
cocktails are gonna start copying the mocktails for because they had to get really creative with the mocktails, right?
True.
So now we're gonna go, wait a minute, our cocktails suck in comparison to the mocktails, we need shiso vinegar. We didn't know. But
Who
this is
knew?
amazing. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. And
And
it
they
was
also on
mm,
that same and that was on the happy hour menu when I was looking at the restaurant for if you went early, what did they have and was it anything different? And they
mm,
had that but it's on the regular menu too. And then they have barbecued octopus, and I love calamari, I love octopus and squid, so they sucked me right in. And then they paired that with black-eyed peas.
oh, she felt a little home. She had a little
That's, yeah,
southern
that's it.
home there, so
So
that's
so
good.
the other place is French, and this one's hitting Southern and East Coast items. Um,
So that's cool. So, and then you went wild.
did go wild every chance I get.
She's like, I'm going to go on this bait over here. So tell her you went on a safari and then had barbecue
I did.
with
I
the
did. They
animals.
had
You did go
barbecue
wild.
chicken. They had barbecue pulled pork. Um, not from any of their animals, but
It
Safari
does.
West. They call that the Sonoma Serengeti.
Mm,
I thought that was really a cute name. But they just have this magnificent place, acres and acres and acres of exotic animals and birds, and a walk through aviary. And they have the safari vehicles like you see especially when you watch. Remember the old movies? We've talked about these before, like
mm,
Doctari and things like that. They had the old, like, big,
mm-hmm.
tall, kind of a Jeep type thing, but kind of a bus too, because it was long. And then some people could sit up on top. So there was a rack on top that you took turns each. Anybody that wanted to sit up there, they just let you rotate every time they stopped. You could
Mm.
change people. And we were really lucky because the people with us all had children, and the children were lower, shorter than the allowed height to be on the top. So we were the only ones that could ride on the top, and we got it the whole day.
Well, you had fun. So
Yeah, we did.
animals, food, wine,
Eye to
cartoons.
eye with the giraffes. They had two
That's cool.
giraffes that had been born in the last 3 or 4 months, so they had babies. And little did we know the day, she was probably in labor then while we were there, but the night that we were there, or the next morning, they had a new baby giraffe born.
Oh, I
Darn
love
it.
giraffe.
I do too. They're
Mm,
just so cool. And of course, they had zebras and cheetahs, um, and lemurs. Who doesn't love lemurs? They
I
are
love lemurs.
they are so cute and so inquisitive.
They are. They're little brats. You know, they are. They're cool. You talked about going to the harvest fair, but so you have that as an event, which is always cool. Tell us about where you stayed in Santa Rosa, so people can know, like, because I know you like to stay where it's easy access to what you're doing.
I do, and I like to stay in smaller places. I don't want to be one of 900 guests and get lost in the shuffle. Uh,
Joe likes to have special, attention and treatment. Thank you
yeah,
very much.
I want people. I like it's like Cheers. I want to go where everybody knows my name.
Oh my. So she carries her own glass saying Joe
That's it.
goes everywhere.
It's have
Haveglasswilltravel, by the
glass
way,
will travel.
everyone.
There you
And
go.
recipestravelculture.com, but she's got her own glass and she will take it around and let you know that it's Joe.
That's true. And, glass is a slang term for long, nice, big, expensive camera lenses. So I have that kind of glass too. And that's sort of where the name Have Glass Will Travel came from. I have
Oh,
I have that kind of glass and this kind of glass. And if you look at my little logo, it's two crossed wine glasses
and
holding
a
a
camera.
camera like they're a tripod.
But the bottles are empty.
That's shh, don't tell.
Well, tell us about your
Okay.
stay. Yeah.
So the stay, well, before I tell you about where I
Oh,
did stay, I'm telling you where I want to go stay next time because
oh,
Safari West has 30 tents. So you can go
oh,
glamping
yeah, yeah.
at the Serengeti. And that I don't think
Mm,
I'm going to get to spend the night in the Serengeti in a tent. So maybe I can go back to California and do it
with wine
with wine.
and
Yeah.
some of that really good food, glamping
Oh,
with wine
yeah.
and hearing all the animals.
I know. I can't imagine being asleep at night and hearing
It's
any of
awesome.
those animals. It would just be fabulous.
Well,
But
you
where
when you were in Namibia, didn't you get that experience?
I didn't hear any animals.
Really?
Mm-mm,
Oh, Joe, it
I
is
didn't. They
hands
were
down.
quiet and sneaky. We had
Oh,
footprints around the cabins the next morning at a couple of places, but
oh
they
man,
they
that
were
was
very
some of
quiet.
my favorite memories as a child is listening to
I bet.
hyenas at night, lions. Um, you know, Actually elephants are pretty quiet compared to what people think, and they will go around and they're not that destructive unless they're looking for water. But the to hear these animals at night and the birds even early in the morning, there's certain times,
Yeah,
and the jackals and the oh my gosh, yep, 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 they're kind of like coyotes. Yeah, I
that would. But
the
that would
hyenas,
be my
the
my next
hyenas,
stay.
yeah, the hyenas are everything. They do this ooh. Okay, anyway. And well, monkeys will do that too, but anyhow, don't listen to me. But don't listen to me about this.
Go
But
listen for yourself.
exactly,
Um,
exactly.
but
But I
we
love that.
stayed.
That's
We
cool. Yeah.
stayed. Getting back to what you originally asked me, we
If she's
stayed
listening,
in.
she goes and listens to the room next door. What kind of wildlife is going on there? I'm just kidding.
Really.
Uh-oh.
Well, sometimes you're not real happy with what's going on next door, but
Sometimes
we
it's
we were
interesting.
lucky. We with these thick rock walls. If the walls on outside of this hotel are any indication of the walls inside, you weren't hearing a thing.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
but it's Hotel La Rose, which is the rose in Spanish. It is in downtown Santa
Mm-hmm.
Rosa, so it's across the street from the square, the historic
Mm-hmm. It's like a
railroad.
plaza.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
railroad square, and the one of the places that we ate was the line. I'm trying to think of the
Oh,
name
uh,
of it.
the
Uh,
branch.
yeah,
I was
the
reading your
branch
article.
line.
Yeah, the branch
It
line.
it
Yeah.
the branch line ran or runs, because we saw trains come through, but they come through and stop there in Santa Rosa. And
Perfect.
we were just right straight across the park from that, and the park was a big square, and then it had restaurants and shops all the way around the square, and of course Snoopy and Charlie Brown statue in the square.
Mm.
Um, so the hotel was very conveniently located right in downtown old historic Santa Rosa, and it's local gray rock, quarried locally.
Mm.
It's built in 1907.
Oh,
So
nice. So a little history there. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
the
over a
by
hundred years.
Italian
Mm.
stone masons. So a lot of the buildings and things that we saw in this area were kind of Italian influence,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the climate and the
Mm-hmm.
terroir being so similar to Italy. Uh,
Mediterranean. Yeah.
yeah, that they were there, and their family was working in vineyards or planting vineyards, and growing grapes wasn't their thing, so they were stonemasons. But it had to do with that location. I know it does.
Mm-hmm.
um, and it had just it's a very charming place, a lot of antique furniture. We had, and most of the outer edge rooms, I think, all had private balconies. And I'm not talking about the kind we have now, like off the
Yeah.
motel. You walk out onto a balcony and it's big enough for your 2 feet, and you could hang a towel on it to dry. That'd
And
be
you feel
about
like
it.
you're gonna fall. It's like that
Yeah,
weird feeling when
yeah.
you go
It's
like,
it's like it's
ooh.
attached to the building. This is recessed. It's all part of the building. It had a
Mm.
settee for two, and another chair, and a table, and it had a planter box with red geraniums.
Oh,
So
nice.
it was a lovely place
Mm.
to come, and you could open your door out onto this balcony, and people still couldn't
Oh.
see into your room. You could just leave your door open half the time. Um,
Mm.
so it was a
I love that because when you're in a hotel and everything, I always want to have outdoor. I want to open the door, sit outside. That's our thing. You know, if you're going to have wine,
This
if we
would be
can
the
sit
spot.
outside with the wine, I want the wine in the sunshine. I do with
Yep,
flowers and birds and all of that. And if
this
you
is
can
the
do that in your
place.
hotel, I'm in. And I love
Yep.
geraniums. Oh, I love geraniums. Mm,
And there was
very nice.
there's a deli on the end of the hotel that has
Nice.
breakfast items and pastries, and
Mm,
a nice deli section, and then uh, the bar stretches almost the length of the side of the building, and that is the hotel bar then in the
hmm
afternoon and evening. And after I started doing my research at home, writing the article, I realized that Grossman's Noshery and Bar, which kind of has a New York uh, Jew
hmm
influence as far as the deli type selections they have and the way that it's run. Turns out the Stark couple owns that too.
Oh, well,
So,
there you go.
so I ended up in Santa Rosa in three of their places without
That's
even knowing it.
that's fun though. That's cool. That's amazing to see. I mean, that's an entrepreneur's journey,
Yeah,
and
see the
that is
need
so
and
cool.
fill it.
I know. Hey, a good deli is oh, I love a good deli.
Yeah, it kind of
It,
made me think of, I had a hard time deciding what I wanted to be when I grew up. So, it's like 20 years and two or three different careers. And I picture this guy, the chef. It's like, well, what kind of chef do you want to be? Well, I want to be a French chef. Well, but I want to have a Jewish deli. Um, I really like seafood. It's
Yeah.
make
Well,
up your mind. What do you want to do? One of each.
yeah, that's kind of why we're the blend. Because
Yeah.
why limit yourself?
Why do talk
Yeah,
radio when you can do wine and
yeah.
parks and road trips?
Sounds way more fun than politics.
I
Just
know,
saying.
really. And why
Everybody stays in that
like
anger
dessert?
zone.
Why pick one?
Yeah, talk radio really, I mean, at one point it was, there was the old talk radio for music, right? And the culture, what was going on, and then it turned into this angry force.
People yelling and arguing all the
Yeah, and I
time.
can feel their blood pressure and I feel their
Yeah,
veins popping off their face, going, "Oh my gosh, no, you need some wine, you need to go in the sunshine. You need some,
you need to go
dark
sit in a
chocolate
park.
torts." Yeah, you do. You
That's right.
do.
You need
So I
chocolate, wine, and sit in a park.
dang, with some flowers and birds. And giraffe and baby giraffe. Yeah, that helps
Oh
too.
yeah, a
Oh,
baby
man.
giraffe.
So Joe, next podcast, I believe you're taking us back south and we're going to go talk about winter in Charleston.
I am. I'm going to tell you where to go in the winter in Charleston. We don't roll up the sidewalks in the winter anymore like we used to. Once
Good.
tourist season was over at Labor Day, we roll up the sidewalks and reclaim our towns. We don't do that anymore, but they're also not white. There's nothing to shovel.
No, see, that's it. So looking forward to hearing more about that. And everyone, again, Joe is here every second Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And she's always got wine in that glass of hers. So cheers. Cheers to you, Joe.
Cheers.
Cheers to everyone listening. We'll see you next month. And of course, as I always say, look in the episode notes for links to Joe's websites and her articles. Everything is there. And follow her on Facebook and Instagram and all those great places. All right. Thanks, Joe.
Thank you. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. Thanks for joining us. Keep up with Big Blend Radio's Joe Goes Everywhere podcast on bigblendradio.com. Keep up with Joe's adventures. Go to haveglasswilltravel.com and recipestravelculture.com.